Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Run In Podcast. I am Big Mike, and I am joined, as always, by Sped Rock. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Oh, I was fixing to say, I was like, you took a little pause there. I was like, you all right? You good?
Did I lose him?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I was like, for a second there, I thought I lost you. I'm here. I don't know what happened.
No problem. And as you can tell, I am in a little bit of a undisclosed location. Had some technical difficulties at the house. We are in an alternative setup. Thank you to Herb of the Herb and Raj podcast for letting me use his setup for this show. A very important show as we go over Bad Blood and everything that's happened this week in the weekend wrestling. But you can't do it without the fans. So first off, thank you. Lady Alpha's here with us. Yes, welcome to the Run In Podcast, your drama-free home and hate-free wrestling home talk. I'll learn how to talk here in a minute. Apparently, it's not my Wi-Fi that's messed up. It's me. And of course, hey, y'all. Hey, Lady Alpha. We appreciate you being here every week. You guys can tune into, again, @ Big Mike 27 on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Big Mike 2727, Spedrock, SP3DROCK4 on Twitch. For everybody joining us on Twitch, thank you guys very much. It is kind of a new platform for us that we're trying out. So, yeah, thank you guys for being here. And let's get into the show, man. As you can see by the YouTube thumbnail, we are going to be doing a weekly wrestling review. It's going to kind of go a little differently once we have pay-per-views and things like that, PLEs. So it does look a little different than you guys have seen in the past, but we are going to try to bring you guys as much good content and news and updates and everything else that you guys can handle. So start off, as we've been doing the past few weeks, we'll start off with the closest show to last week's episode, and that is SmackDown. We had Bayley getting a title shot in the match with Nia Jax. I'm sorry, with the match with Naomi for a title shot with Nia Jax. Sped, what did you think about the match? Did you think it was good? And did you think that would happen?
No, I didn't think that was going to happen. To be honest with you, for a TV match, I thought it was great. Between the two, Bayley put on a show, Naomi put on a show, but I honestly thought somebody like maybe Tiffany was going to step in, cause a triple threat, make a little more of a tension between the two. But, overall, SmackDown was a great 2-hour show. It was nice. I'm looking forward to the United States title, potential triple threat. I think we talked about this off air. But, Mello, Andrade, and LA Knight, that would be a beautiful triple threat if they can make that happen at Bad Blood and not at SmackDown like they're doing with the Raw title.
Thank you, Herb, from the Herb and Raj podcast. Apparently, I look great tonight only because I'm using his setup. He's apparently got some good lighting for me to make me look better than normal, so I appreciate that. This is not real. It's all filters, so I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the hospitality and let me use the studio. Couldn't have done it without you and everything else you guys do for us. But yeah, definitely. It was a good show. We won't talk a lot about this in Raw. We'll only hit on a couple of points because we'll get into a lot of it once we talk about Bad Blood, because 90% of what happened on both shows kind of leads into Bad Blood, and we don't want to waste, talking about the pay-per-view, going through some other stuff. But, the Bayley-Nia match isn't going to be on. I actually think it's on tomorrow's SmackDown, the Go Home SmackDown show. And then obviously they teased the U.S. title shot, which I think is going to be amazing. I don't know if they do it right away or if they try to give Mello and Andrade a match 7, because that's technically match 6 in their series, and they're 3-3. So maybe they do the triple threat as the tiebreaker, or maybe they give them one more one-on-one match before they do a triple threat. They could do the triple. They could do that triple threat and then move on to a one-on-one. Say like Mello wins. Right? Mello squeaks out the win. Andrade versus LA Knight for the number 1 contenders match. Andrade wins. Here's the number 7 match on the one-on-one scene. So that could be the tiebreaker right there with Andrade going over if they do it like that. But I don't know what WWE's going to do, man. They just threw a lot of curveballs at us recently with the whole IC title, and now with it's just been crazy lately. You don't know what's going to go down in the WWE. And that's what we love, man. That's, as wrestling fans, you don't want to be able to watch a show and predict every week what's going to happen, who's going to win, A little bit of unpredictability. Obviously we want to be able to do that some, because all of us as wrestling fans want to sound smart when we do these podcasts. We don't want to have all of our picks be wrong, because trust me, it's happened and it's embarrassing. But you want to have some unpredictability, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. I mentioned to you off air, this Bad Blood card to me is probably the most unpredictable card that we've had, especially in a B pay-per-view. They've had all year long.
Yeah.
We went through, and I don't know that there's a single match that we talked about that you can guarantee one side's the winner or the other, and that no matter who wins, I think you can make a good story out of it. Which to me is the best pay-per-view, where no matter who wins and who loses, there's a lot of different ways you can go after the card.
Oh yeah.
So that was all that really happened in SmackDown, not Bad Blood related. So we will move on to Monday Night Raw, and I mean that main event, guys. Last Monster Standing, one of the best TV matches I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
To me, it's one of the matches of the year for WWE, especially. In my opinion, I get Seth Rollins coming back and costing Bronson Reed the match. I would have rather Bronson Reed have won and maybe go to a Intercontinental title shot or something like that, and then Seth Rollins cost him, because I think it meant more at that point. Plus, I wanted Reed to win. But definitely, it creates more storylines. It creates more intrigue going forward. And plus, you get Seth Rollins back, one of the most popular guys on the roster. Did you agree with the decision? How did you think it went? And what are you looking forward to there?
Well, honestly, I'm agreeing with you on this one. I was hoping that Bronson would get the win and get and move on to the IC title, but against Jay. But that would have been nice. That would have been real nice. But I get the storyline now. He did what, 6-7 tsunamis on Seth Rollins a couple months ago.
Seth got 6
tsunamis on him. So now Rollins comes back and he cost him a big match. Now we don't know what's going to be next for Strowman. It might be cheerleading next. I don't know. But the thing is this, okay? Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins. We already just said that this might be one of the matches of the year. That is going to turn out to be one of the best matches if they do it at Survivor Series War Games. Might be the match of the night at Survivor Series War Games if they do it there. I don't think they're going to do it at Bad Blood. I think they're going to set this up in promos and let it go down, get the story built up. But at the end of the day, I think Seth is setting Bronson up as the next big man and helping him becoming that big man with the big match coming up soon.
Yeah, definitely. And again, even if, and to me, I said this from the beginning, this match should have been on Bad Blood.
Oh yeah.
In hindsight, I'm kind of glad it happened on Raw, because it got more time. Because obviously, we know a few of the Bad Blood matches are going to go really long.
Oh yeah.
So I'm actually going to change my thought on that and say I'm kind of glad it was on Raw, just because it got the time, it got the spotlight, it didn't have anything else there with it. So good on them for having it there. I still would have liked to have had something else, even if it had gone to a draw or something like that. Could you imagine this match if they had gone to Survivor Series with this match, with 2 rings, having Bronson and Braun with 2 rings there that they could destroy if necessary?
That'd be crazy. That would be crazy, honestly.
Of course, with that one, you'd have to go on last, and they're not going to do that because they want the War Games match to go on last. But you also had the return of someone else Bronson Reed took out in R-Truth coming back, and the whole. And I guess it makes sense because he only got 5 tsunamis, so he came back a little faster than Rollins.
Yeah.
Since Rollins got 6, I guess it's depending on how many tsunamis you get, how long you're out. So, but you had the match set up with AOP. Again, R-Truth is gold.
Yes, he is.
He's the funniest guy on television or on WWE right now by far. And having the match against AOP, as he called him, was great. And again, the storyline progression with The Miz coming in and turning on R-Truth, Karrion Kross laughing in the background at ringside. Finally, some of his plans come into fruition.
The devil on the shoulder.
Exactly.
I
He's
love
got
it.
another one. He's been planting seeds with Miz. He's been planting seeds with Woods, and this is what he's done. Everybody's like, "Well, what are you doing? What's this character?" If you go back to when he was on SmackDown, this is the same thing he's done there, and it's
Yes.
really cool to me. This is one of the cooler gimmicks, and I'll be completely honest. Karrion Kross is one of my favorite wrestlers on Raw.
Oh, yes.
So I could be completely biased, and if I am, please let me know in the comments. That's fine. But I really do think that whether his character wins or loses, he has more impact on the storyline than
Yes.
a lot of other people on the roster. Because if you look at the other people like Shinsuke, AJ, all the other guys that they've got, the bloodline, all the people he's feuded with, that he ultimately loses the feud, he still wins in the end because what he wanted to happen happens.
Yeah, they imploded from the. That's what people forget when he put that or not him, when Scarlett put the hourglass on the mat and flipped it upside down to Roman. There was already cracks in the bloodline, and they were just saying it's only a matter of time. And like I just like this devil on the shoulder type deal, and it's gonna go somewhere with it. I get it. You got to build your character. You got to build your character, and it's gonna go somewhere. But he's got Woods, hook, line, sinker. He got Miz already. Who's next? And I'm looking forward to who's next. All right, because that's I'm hoping it's Dom.
So I actually talked about this. I did a show with John at Chairshot Sports. Shout out to the Chairshot Sports Network. We actually did a Bad Blood preview, and I talked about this on that show. I would like Karrion Kross's next feud to be Damian Priest.
Ooh, that'd be beautiful.
He's just now babyface. He's been a big babyface. He's gotten a lot of pops. Him being on the shoulder, trying to get him to turn back heel. I think this may be the one that doesn't work because I don't know that they want to turn Damian back to a heel so quickly. But I think that would make a really good. Plus, I said this after I heard this after Monday or Tuesday when we recorded that show. Apparently, they've been doing stuff on the house show circuit. So apparently, they're teasing it and testing it out. And not to mention that they're just two really good wrestlers. If you go back to both of their independent days, Killer Kross and what was Damian's independent name? I can't remember. I don't know. If you guys remember, let us know in the comments.
Put it in the comments. I don't remember that name right now.
But both of them were very hard-hitting, very, very different characters on the indies, and you could bring some of that back in a program with each other, and I think they would have matches. If you still wanted to keep Rhea Ripley in the kind of realm there, yes, thank you, Jay. Punishment Martinez. That was his name.
That's what it was.
And yes, you were right. Lady Alpha Archer of Infamy was his NXT gimmick when he came into NXT. But before that, while he was in the Indies, he was Punishment Martinez. So if you can go back to Killer Kross and Punishment Martinez days, where they were just ultra hard hitting, I think that could be some really good matches, some really good feuds. And like I said, if you want to keep Rhea Ripley involved, even though I think they should kind of split once this is over, you could put Scarlett in there. Scarlett can wrestle. She's not on TV a lot, but she can definitely get in the ring and go and really create some more babyface fire for the Terror Twins if they wanted to do that. Do you agree with that? I mean, is there anybody else you think he would be able to feud with even better?
Honestly, right now, if he would have went to SmackDown, honestly, I can't think of anyone right now. I would like to see him in a IC or a United States run, with this whole gimmick that he's doing right now. That'd be nice, see if he can get back into that Killer Kross era style. But I do agree with you. This would be a great match between the two. I just want to see more of this character development first of Karrion Kross. I like it. I like what he's doing. I understand he's losing matches and he's not winning a ton and blah, blah, blah. But he's doing things differently and it's making people talk. And that's what I want to see more of with him, to be honest with you right now. Yeah. But Rhea Ripley, well, we're going to get to Bad Blood here soon. And that's what I was going to get with her.
Yeah, not too much yet. It's coming. But you did mention Jey Uso. Jey Uso is not on the Bad Blood card, so we will mention that. So I mentioned Karrion Kross, and you said maybe he can go for the IC title. Who else would you like to see go for the IC title next?
Dominic Mysterio. What's up, baby? Come on. I would love to see him take out the Yeet. All right, like you guys don't understand. My boy over here, TC, is on Twitch right now, and he's probably about to start yelling at me because he's just not a Dom fan whatsoever. Okay, there he is. Boo! He's booing me right now. Literally, he's got 4, 5, 6 messages coming in right now, booing the crap out of me. So listen, Dominic Mysterio versus Jey Uso would be the ultimate heel move to put the title on Dom, while Jay's got all this fire going, this aura, is what everyone's saying. Dom will destroy that. He's going to be your next IC champion. Thank you, Liv. That's the only time I'm ever going to say that. If she actually does it, I will be a Liv Morgan fan. All right. That's all I got to say.
So I guess at this point I need to make like a little banner down at the bottom and say like Speds Dom minute or Dom Speds minute, something where you just get like a minute or so to talk about nothing but Dominic Mysterio, or that's just the segment.
No,
you can give Dom his flowers. So, but I had to let that in there. We did talk about it before air, and I wanted you to be able to get that out, get it out of your system, hopefully. But there, was there anything else on Raw that you thought was memorable, that you liked, that doesn't have anything to do with Bad Blood?
I did not know, and this is funny to me, that Finn Balor and JD McDonough is getting the Logan Paul treatment. They got the titles. They've had them for over 100 days and 1 title defense. It's like, what is going on there? I just don't understand why we're doing this now with the tag titles. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm hoping they put more of a focus because I don't think, and again, we'll get to this when we get to Bad Blood, but after Bad Blood, I don't think there's going to be a focus on Finn as a single star. I think it's going to be focused more on the tag team so they can do a little bit more with them. But I agree. Definitely, I would love to see them wrestle more. I would love to see some other tag teams on Raw, and you've got them. We just talked about AOP. You keep getting the War Machine return that's imminent with the vignettes with the Viking runes on the rock
the
and
Viking
stuff like
Raiders.
that.
Yeah.
Well, and from what I've heard, they're going to go back to War Machine, which was what they were
that
on
would
the
be
Indies.
Beautiful.
Which is why, because like I've seen a lot of people on X talk about that if you take those runes, it actually spells out WAR. It spells out war. So
I saw that. Yeah.
So hopefully they're going to get to go away from the Viking Raiders, even though that's a decent name, a lot better than the Viking Experience that they started out with on the main roster. And go back to War Machine now that Triple H is back in charge.
Real quick. The Great TC says Braun Breaker and Gunther Encounter was one of the better experiences on Raw. I agree with that too. That setup, that little segment that they had was beautiful.
Yep.
It was beautiful.
And I do think that's probably Gunther's next challenge, because you had, Braun come out and kind of do the babyface turn with Jey Uso shaking his hand. Jay kind of giving him hey, there's some dogs here, kind of giving him that rub a little bit to be more of a babyface from the crowd. So I definitely think that's probably where Gunther goes next after Sammy, which is, of course, next Monday night.
Yeah.
I guess once we're here and it's not a Bad Blood, how do you see that match going? Do you think there's any chance that Sammy has any chance?
No. Sammy has no shot of winning this match. There's no way. I mean, there's so much that you can do with Gunther still. There's so many more matches. I know Ilya just got hurt, and what was it? His ACL, right? He tore his ACL.
Yeah.
The War Machine.
And quickly, I do agree. War Machine should have never been changed to the Viking Experience, but
you're right.
That was a call by someone who's no longer there. So hopefully that gets fixed.
These guys on Netflix.
Triple H has been doing. Oh, that guy. Yeah, that's right. I think we talked about him a little last week.
I watched the whole thing, man. That was bad. That was terrible at the end. Yeah, that was terrible.
So stay tuned to the Run It Network. We will have a special episode, not live. We'll record it and put it out. Or maybe we'll do it live. We'll kind of do that on the fly, where we talk about the Vince McMahon docuseries and give our opinions on it. We have both watched it now. I know we talked about a couple episodes because you hadn't seen all of it last week.
Yeah.
But I think it deserves its own episode, especially with everything else going on. So we will stay tuned. So if that's everything on Raw, we'll move on.
NXT, man,
brand new, and I just got this logo since it wasn't there when I did the slideshow. That is the new NXT logo from the CW. A couple of really big matches, really good matches.
Really good matches.
kicked off the show with Julia and Roxanne for the women's championship. And who saw that coming other than, our boy Esteban? Saw Cora Jade coming back, and that came to fruition, helped Roxanne Perez beat Julia, which I don't think anybody saw coming except for EC.
AEC, straight up.
Didn't.
I didn't. I thought they were going to push Julia and then have Delta come in at Havoc, like everyone thinks. But man, did you see the tweet that Cora put out when what was it? Julia was like, "Who are you?" She tweeted back.
Oh yeah, the reason you lost.
Yep. Yes, that's what it was. That made me laugh, man. Esteban's all over it already. But hey, Esteban, if you're watching, that was a great pick. Gotta give you your flowers on that one. All right, you called it. Cora was coming back. You said she was gonna help out Roxanne. She helped out Roxanne. But here's the deal. Now we get Cora versus Julia and Delta versus Roxanne. And this is gonna be beautiful. We get these matches at Halloween Havoc. And you know what? Half the run-in will be at Halloween. Actually, EC will be at Halloween Havoc with me. So you know what? We're gonna be there.
Yeah, you two, we'll have to get you guys in studio together so you can give us a rundown for Halloween Havoc.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be beautiful.
But we did see the vignette for the debut of Delta. If you're not familiar with Delta, which I know a lot of you aren't, she is an Australian indie wrestler.
Ozzy.
Good Lord, she's a powerhouse. If you've seen Jordan Grace the past few weeks on when she's been on NXT or TNA, think of that with an Australian accent.
Yep.
Kind of, I guess, like if Jordan Grace and Rhea Ripley got together and combined, that would kind of be Delta. Please go search some of her matches on YouTube. You'll definitely be impressed, and you'll be even more impressed, like we are, excited to see Delta coming in at Halloween Havoc. You had the vignette that said 10/27, which is the date of Halloween Havoc. We're definitely looking forward to that. And I mean, everybody talks about the AEW women's division being strong, and it is. I'm not saying it's not. But man, this NXT women's division, it's crazy.
It's gaining real ground. I mean, they got young stars coming up, and that North American women's North American division. They're just getting better each and every week. I see what Esteban's been talking about, and like each and every week they're just getting better and better in the ring. But signing Delta and Julia like they did, and then bringing back Cora, and now you got Roxanne. Well, the women's side is looking good, but what are we going to do with the men's side now? We
definitely need some more male stars coming in.
Exactly. I mean, Lexis King is still maybe a year or two away from being a NXT main eventer. While you got I'm sorry. I know a lot of people out here are going to be, oh my goodness, Sped said something bad. It's not bad. I mean, the guy's a great wrestler. Don't get it twisted. He's maybe a year or two away from NXT stardom. I see North American Championship written all over it, but who else do we have besides Ethan Page and Trick Williams that can go for the NXT Championship? And I really, besides Oba,
Oba. I was fixing to say.
Sorry. Yeah, besides Oba.
Don't forget my boy.
Yeah, but Oba's going to run through everybody, and then we got to figure out who's going to take Oba's spot, because Wesley ain't going to be Oba. Wesley would be in WWE on Raw or SmackDown by Royal Rumble time frame, January. So
possibly. And speaking of, not to cut you off, but we do want to get to it. I want to get to Jay's comment, and we want to get to that match as well. Wesley and Zachary Wentz street fight. Again, another banger match.
Great match.
Glad Zachary Wentz is alive after that missed table spot. I don't know. I guess it was a missed spot. I think he was supposed to hit the table, but they really kind of played it off, where he springs board off the top rope to the outside, ends up jumping over the table. But Wesley picking up the win there, getting his win back on Zachary Wentz. Did you agree with the decision? Do you think we get a third match in the series since they're 1-1? How do you think that plays out going forward?
I mean, yeah, we're going to get a third. We're going to see more NXT going on here soon. I think you do get a third match. I don't know when, though. It's probably just going to be on NXT itself.
I think it should be on TNA TV. The
I
first
think
two
that
were
would
on
be,
NXT.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
To me, would have played out perfectly if he was still X Division champion.
Yeah.
And then Wesley went over to TNA and said, look, man, I just beat you over on NXT. why don't you put that title on the line and let me beat you again? And then you have a great X Division match. And even if you have Zachary Wentz win and retain his title on TNA, because I don't think they want to switch titles yet, switch brands with titles.
No.
That would still be another banger match. It would prop up TNA, give a great X Division and shine that X Division, which is, to me, one of the better divisions in wrestling. I've always loved the X Division. When even back in the day when it was, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and all those guys going through the X Division, all those matches are great. But that would put another great match in that division and give TNA some more pub and NXT as well.
I agree with that.
But I agree. I think we do get a third match. It's probably going to happen at Halloween Havoc. They're probably going to have another. See, I don't know where you go from a street fight, though, unless you have it in a steel cage. Maybe they try to do a Hell in a Cell at Havoc since NXT's never really had one.
I don't know if they can do.
I mean, I guess that may be a possibility. Halloween Havoc and Hell in a Cell seems like it would go together.
I don't know if Giant Center could hold that thing, though, to be honest with you. I mean,
I don't know. That's a good question.
Hershey's not very safe.
Well, I mean, it's Hershey. You could build the Hell in a Cell out of chocolate.
That'd be cool.
In the win, you have to eat your way out. Who knows?
Exactly.
They've done crazier things. We've had a Punjabi prison match. So
we have had it. Yeah. Oh, my God.
And then you heard us talk about it. The street fight was great. Wesley picks up the win. The only other real match on the show of any consequence, it was the world title. Ethan Page, Trick Williams, CM Punk, the guest referee. And again, it is the Whoop That Era Part 2. Do you agree with the decision? Are you excited to see where Trick Williams goes now that NXT's on CW?
Well, I don't know where he goes, to be honest. Like I said, who's next? I mean, who's next in his line? Who can he face type of deal? I just
see, and I keep saying it, and I get everybody's tired of hearing me talk about Oba about as much as tired as they're here about you talking about Dom. But that's really the only viable option unless you're going to do another match with Ethan Page.
I mean, they're probably going to do the rematch with Ethan and go into Halloween Havoc with it. But like what I'm saying is, do you really want Oba to take over the guy that you're pushing as the face of NXT right now until WrestleMania? Or, like type of deal. Like, do you really want Trick to lose that title right now to Oba? And then what are you going to do with Oba? He's just going to run through the whole roster 3 times over before he gets called up again. Not again, but called up. It's very confusing in NXT right now on the men's side.
But I will say, WWE likes to have that NXT moment in the Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
Where you get a spotlight. They've done it with Roxanne for a couple of years. They did it with Mello. They've done it with people in the past. How cool would it be for somebody that's never watched NXT for Oba Femi to enter the Royal Rumble and carry both belts out, holding the North America and the world title together?
That would be awesome. To be honest with you, I would love to see them give him the Keith Lee treatment. Okay.
Yes.
Where he got the NXT and he's got the North American, and when he wins it, he gets the pyro. That would be beautiful. That'd be a beautiful moment for him. But again,
I will tell you, don't discount Rich Holland either. Once he's done with Chase U, I think he's going to be a viable main event contender. Don't forget about Sean Spears. I know he's been doing some side stuff. I saw a great interview with him with Scott Van Vliet or Chris Van Vliet. Sorry. Talking about some of the stuff he's doing in NXT as well. How much he loves being there.
Oh yeah,
he could very easily get put in that main event picture. He's already been in there before. So I mean, there are viable options to go for main event. The main event scene.
If you put Sean Spears up against Trick Williams, who do you? And we're doing a prediction show for Halloween Havoc, right? Let's say that. Who are you taking, Trick or Sean?
Obviously you take Trick Williams.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
But I mean,
there's not.
You're going to have that with a lot of stuff. So the way NXT is set up right now, you're going to have that with a lot.
Well,
unless it's the women's titles, because like right now, and this is probably the most scared I've been for an Oba match yet because of the treatment they've given Tony D'Angelo with the Rocky treatment. So this is probably the most nervous I've been for Oba since he got the title. But I just can't see D'Angelo beating him. So unless it's a women's title match, It
That's the
seems like it's
thing,
been a
though.
foregone conclusion for a while now.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like you look at the men's side of NXT and you look at it as, I mean, there's really 3-4 guys that you can be like, yeah, they could win it. But the other guys, you put up Lexus King versus Oba, and you're like, yeah, Lexus is getting killed. You put Trick up against Sean Spears, and everybody and their grandmother's like, whoop that Trick. It's just, it's one of those things. Like those are obvious ones. Now you look at the female side, and you're like, man, I don't know, man. You have Cora, you got Julia, you got Delta, you got Roxanne, you got God, I can't think of her name. She's in Metaphor right now.
Lash Legend.
Lash. You got Lash. You got a lot of female. Jordan.
So here's the funny part. All of those names you mentioned, not once did you mention Stephanie Vacour.
No, I was going to keep going.
So that's another name. And we didn't talk about it earlier when we were talking about the women's title either. We sped right past her name with Delta and everybody else and Core and all that. We didn't even bring up her name then. So that just tells you how stacked that division is. Going forward. And before you go, I want to get a couple people in. Raj, for the other half of the Herb and Raj podcast, says, "Evening, gents. How you doing, Raj? Appreciate you being here." Lady Alpha says the same thing. Thank you, Raj. How you doing? Thank you, Lady Alpha, for always acknowledging everybody in the comments. We appreciate you. So, and as far as NXT, there's another big week. Obviously, we mentioned Oba and Tony D'Angelo. You've got the tag team title match. Again, do we really think A-Town Down Under is going to beat Fraxium? I don't.
I was hoping.
Think there's any way.
I was hoping. Hey, come on. A man can only hope, okay?
So, I mean, even there, it's kind of the same thing with the rest of the men's stuff that we've talked about. You do have the big 6-woman tag match with Kalani and Jade and Bianca versus the Fatal Influence. So, I mean, that should be a good match. Good pop up for some of the young girls to be in there with the women's tag team champions. So that's kind of cool.
That's but really good experience.
And we'll definitely talk about that a lot next week. Anything else on this week's NXT that we've kind of touched on everything else? I
like the new titles. I ain't even gonna lie. I like the new titles. The new titles.
And I love, like, and you guys can tell from the intro music. Anybody that knows me, I'm a huge hip hop fan. So I love the fact that all the intros and stuff and the titles for WWE are turning hip hop because it speaks more to me. I love rock and roll. It's all fun, but I mean, to me, man, it's just something about the hip hop intros, titles just make it seem to go hard to me.
That's what I'm saying. You guys know, anytime anybody's on my Twitch right here, you guys know I have hip hop going on for stream starting soon. I got music playing. It's all beats and stuff like that. They know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, don't be surprised if when the Raw goes to Netflix that they probably do the same thing there.
Oh yeah,
and two, we got to talk about it at some point. I heard the other day they were talking about WWE getting rid of Def Rebel and starting to use more licensed music for intro for entrances and things like that. We can do a video right there going of what songs we think should be for different superstars and just try to pick the songs we think should go for them. We could do that one day. So again, lots of stuff going on, but we'll move on. Last night, AEW had their announcement, brand new deal for the WBD network. They'll stay on TNT and TBS. They'll also be streaming on Max starting in 2025. And it was on their 5th year anniversary show. You just came out of Grand Slam last week, so a lot of stuff going on at AEW. Started off with Ricochet and Ospreay. Again, I don't think these guys can have a bad match, and it all depends on what style you like. I know a lot of people don't like a lot of the flippy stuff, but I think it's entertaining. And yeah, before we get too far, yes, Lady Alpha Raw is going to go to Netflix starting in January. So that they made that deal earlier this year. So they'll move off and that's why SmackDown's going back to the USA Network because they didn't want to lose wrestling altogether. And since they're losing NXT and losing Raw, they took SmackDown from Fox to put it on there so they can. So USA wanted to stay in a relationship with the company, so they allowed SmackDown to go over there since they knew the Fox deal was ending and that everything else was moving off of USA. So
Yeah,
hopefully
get off
everybody has
me real quick.
Netflix. I know it's hard to keep getting more streaming networks, but unfortunately, that seems the way that the world's going nowadays. Everybody's going to be on a different streaming network. But Dynamite will be on Max. They said the pay-per-views will also be on Max at a discounted rate. Not necessarily free like a network. They still wanted to have a pay option there. So it will be a pay-per-view still, but you'll be able to pay a lot less than the $75, $60 that you pay on a regular pay-per-view to watch that. So it does open it up to other fans that may not be able to afford the actual pay-per-view. Before we get into the Dynamite show itself, what do you think about the deal? And I think it's for at least 3 years with an option for 4.
I mean,
AEW not going anywhere for a while.
well, I don't know about that. I mean, think about it in this perspective. They only did 650 or 680
680.
viewers. So it's still staying normal where it's at. And I get it. People are saying they're up against baseball and the presidential whatever. Listen, CW is notoriously like a city type deal, right? Like I didn't get that out here in the mountains. I had to find it on online. So I think CW will draw more people because you can get it a lot easier.
Yeah, because it's a broadcast network. It's not a cable network like USA, like TNT, TBS, and that's one of the reasons they drew almost 900,000, which is more than they've done since 2017.
And that's where I think that's where AEW needs to start doing. Like go on something like the CW or something like that. I know Ion didn't work out for Lucha Underground or any not AEW, TNA and all that other stuff, but they got to get the views up, man. They're sticking around the 600,000, 650, 680, and it's nice. It's good to see that. That means they got a consistent viewership, and it's a beautiful thing to see for wrestling, But now we got to step it up and we got to bring it up, and I think they're starting to do that. And I'm hoping this going to a stream on HBO Max is going to make things better for them and more of, like I like what is going on with the Black Combat pool, the BCC. Yeah. I like what's going on with them, with Brian Danielson. I like what's going on with there. I like what they did with Takahashi. I keep saying his name wrong. Wait, the dude. Yes, yeah. He attacked Will Ospreay at the end of the match. That was, and he stood tall over both Ricochet and Ospreay at the end of the match. I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome. But now it's time to do that with everyone, top to bottom, and actually run a storyline with everybody going into this. Build your ratings up, and let's get the 4th year. The option, I don't like an option. I don't like, like that's baseball terms to me. A baseball player gets 3 years with a club option. If they didn't like him in those 3 years, you just wasted your money. Now you're just, okay, I'm going to eat that 20 million or whatever,
the option in this case, it would keep them on. It is the network's decision. But from what I've read, the deal, like if they pick up that 4th option, it is for a significant increase over the other years. I haven't heard a number, so I couldn't tell you the exact number, but that 4th year option comes with a significant increase into AEW. So there is weighted options on both sides of that. Because even if they say, well, we don't want to, pick up the option, AEW is like, okay, we'll go somewhere else. So, and they do. This does open them up. It's not an exclusive deal, and that's one of the reasons you don't see AEW on a lot of other platforms and networks. That's why AEW Dark had to go away, because the last deal they signed with TBS or Warner Brothers was an exclusive deal. Yeah. So they couldn't even have Dark on YouTube. They had to pull that. So now with this not being an exclusive deal, they can have talks like we've heard reports that they're talking to Fox to maybe having a wrestling show, since Fox wants to stay in the wrestling game after SmackDown left. They've had talks with other networks that they're shopping out another wrestling show, whether it be 1 hour or 2, that can go to FS1, go to Fox, go to an NBC, Tubi. Somebody else that wants to have that, or Tubi that wants to have that. And if they want to be on a network television show where they can get those ratings up, they can do that. But even still, the streaming aspect of it will hide some of those numbers, because like because obviously if you're doing 600,000 every week and you're like, well, everybody else is watching on streaming, let's look at our streaming numbers. So that will actually hurt their viewership there, but I think it will on the network, but it will actually increase their viewership overall through the stream.
Well, no, and I thought about that when we were talking about this once before, where they were talking to Fox and stuff, and I mentioned Tubi because Tubi is owned by Fox. It's a free platform. It's a free platform, and I think they can get more out of a streaming site that's free right now. They want to be number one. Well, to be number one, you need the viewers and you need the money. Well, to get money, you get the viewers. You have to get viewers. Viewers got to start buying that merch. Viewers got to start watching the show, stuff like that. 600,000 is not going to cut the mustard. I mean, we saw it with the WCW years ago. When the viewers started going down, what did Ted Turner do? At some point, Tony Khan's dad's going to shut the book because he's not going to be able to pay guys over in Jacksonville where he wants the real money.
So in all fairness, WCW is probably not a good example because Ted Turner was going through a divorce where he was losing half of his
I forgot about that. I'm not even gonna lie about that.
So he kind of had to do that. I don't think Ted Turner wanted to get rid of WCW. That was kind of forced in that with the divorce between him and his wife at the time.
I forgot about that.
So that did have a little bit to do with it too. But I mean, we could talk about it all night. But let's actually go back to the show. Obviously 680,000 viewers, but it was great wrestling, man. I mean, we had like I said, Ricochet and Ospreay. Go to a draw and have the match restarted. Then you had the run in, and we're eventually going to get a triple threat for the international title between those three guys. I mean, that's going to be a banger.
That's going to be a real good match.
Oh yeah. Three of the best wrestlers in the world. And that's hard. You can't argue that. I mean, everybody talks about, with AEW, you can't argue that those are three of the best professional wrestlers in the world.
Look, sometimes a dream match, really is a good idea. All right. When you got three really good wrestlers going at it for what the international title. I was about to call it the All-American title again.
I keep wanting to call it the Intercontinental title, so don't worry. I'm the same. I'm right there with you.
The internet. What was it? What was it called before? The All-Atlantic title when it was first debuted out. I like that name. That was a nice name. But the international title, this title feels huge. It really does. In the short time that it's been here, it feels big in AEW, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing. People are complaining that the United States title doesn't get enough shine. They're right. The secondary titles in WWE, the only one that really gets the shine is the IC title lately. But the international title right now, I can honestly say I like watching Will Ospreay. I like his matches. Yes, I understand it's a lot of flippy floppy gymnastic stuff, choreographed stuff. Okay, so is Star Wars. Okay, and so is a lot of other stuff that we like. All right, a lot of things that we like.
And if these matches weren't so good, you can go back and watch on NXT because I know we talked about the match. Sol Ruka and Kalani Jordan, when they were fighting for the North American title, they almost did move for move a callback to Will Ospreay and Ricochet's first match.
Yeah.
So obviously everybody else is watching. Other wrestlers, other promoters are watching these matches, and they know they're good because they're trying to get their wrestlers to emulate it and do the same thing.
Oh, so
just because you've got a couple of guys on Twitter saying, well, it's just a bunch of flippy stuff. Okay. Flippy stuff is fun. It's okay to have some flippy stuff.
Do we not remember the Cruiserweight division?
Yeah. I mean, everybody likes different stuff, and it's good to have a little bit of everything on your card.
It is.
As much as I love Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed, two big dudes just killing each other, you like to see some flippy stuff every now and then.
Every now and
wrestling
again.
Is.
It is exactly. It's how the cookie crumbles, folks.
Speaking of hard hitting, they did have another great match as the world title with Daniel. Again, I almost did it. Bryan Danielson and
Okada.
Okada, yes, thank you.
Okada.
I'm dying with names, man. Obviously the first 20 minutes was the Continental title, which kind of is like the U.S. title in WWE. Doesn't really get a whole lot of love, doesn't really get a whole lot of TV time. But that was online for the first 20 minutes, which Okada survived. And then Daniel Bryan ended up winning the match. Again, a great match with an even better story coming out the back of it with the BCC.
Yes.
What do you think about the match? And obviously, we both agreed Bryan Danielson should have won, so we won't debate that. What do you think about the match in general?
A-. Okay, I just didn't like the 20-minute Okada stipulation for his title. I didn't like that whatsoever. But other than that, listen, Timu, Adam Pearce, Christopher Angel, Christopher Daniels.
Same thing.
It's a really good authority figure. Okay, we're looking past that. People are complaining way too much about Christopher Daniels. All right. Second, let's talk about how when the BCC came out, right, and they're holding DB. God, I keep doing it. Brian, when they're holding Brian back, and he said, if this was about me and you, I would have done this a long time ago, right? What is really going on there? Is it
I don't know, man. And if you look that promo that Moxley cut at the beginning of the show,
oh yeah,
probably one of the best promos not named Ospreay or MJF that the company's had in a while.
In a while, yeah, you're right.
That vignette they shot at the beginning of the show with the BCC was amazing.
Look, I get why Mr. U is a big Okada fan. Okay, the man can go in the ring. I get it. All right. But AEW is wasting his talent right now. And that's what I believe. This man should be going after the international title, if not the AEW title, on a frequent basis sometime. I get it. Hangman Adam Page is a phenomenal wrestler, okay? Swerve, brilliant. Love what he does. He brings the house down, all right? People love that man. But when you talk about the next gen, all right, you're not going to talk about Sammy Guevara, and I hope he gets better. One of my favorite, he is my favorite wrestler in AEW. I hope he gets better. I really do. But when you talk about the next gen, you talk about MJF, you talk about Darby Allin, you talk about Okada, you talk about Takashi, and you talk about John Moxley, who's going to be the man there for life. All right, he's an AEW guy unless AEW shuts the doors. AEW has a chance to be the real number 2 here soon. Like I said, if they can get the viewership up, they got the stories.
So they're already number 2. There's no doubt about that. They're already.
No, I mean, like, people, you know what I mean. Everyone unanimously saying, yeah, they're number 2. I understand they are the number 2, but what I'm saying is this: they got the stories now. The Black Combat Club attacking the American Dragon. This is beautiful. And then what's his name? Yuta coming out, grabbing a mic, saying that him and Danielson will face Pac and Claudio next week. Okay, that's whatever. Okay, that's cool. But
don't speed past that, because that could be a very good way that they let Yuta turn and join the rest of the BCC.
I didn't think about that.
Trios.
I did not think about that.
You get Danielson in the ring together with the other 3 guys, and kind of the same way Miz did with R-Truth. You go to tag Brian Danielson goes to tag Yuta, and either Yuta swipes it and says, no, you're done, you're on your own, or he takes the tag, turns around and hits Danielson and joins him. I mean, there's a lot of swerves you could do with that. So there's a lot of good story in that as well.
But before we jump off of Dynamite, right, I want to say this real fast. Private Party finally getting some love from TK. I've been saying this for a while. They should have got away from Matt Hardy a long time ago, and I thank God they did. Matt Hardy's in TNA. I like this team. I like Private Party, and I like the fact they finally got a squash match that they won and they didn't get squashed on. It was beautiful seeing these guys finally getting the shine that they deserve. I hope they can keep going, get those tag titles, and actually run the show. Run the show, Private Party. I would love to see it.
Yeah. And that is our review for AEW Dynamite. Now we will move into the big show, the predictions for WWE Bad Blood this Saturday in Atlanta, Georgia. 5 matches on the card. We will go through each match, give our predictions. Sped, you got your notebook so you can keep notes, because I do not.
Yes, I do.
So while he's getting that, you can see on the card you've got Nia Jax and Bayley You've got Finn Balor and Damian Priest. You've got Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And then the biggest tag team since The Rock haven't been in a tag team with anybody, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. And like I said, we will go through. I'll get to your comment here in just a second, Lady Alpha, when we get to that match. But we'll start off with Bayley and Nia. Always have Tiffany Stratton waiting in the wings with the briefcase. I'll let you go first on this one, Sped. Who do you have and why?
Tiffany Stratton cashes in Money in the Bank at on Nia Jax. Watch.
So you think not? So Nia wins and then Tiffany cashes in.
Yep. I'm
Okay.
going Tiffany. I'm going Tiffany Stratton. Bad Blood setting this up. You saw her face. You know, when she was like, if you mess this up again, it's gonna be bad for you. And she, yeah, the little I'm angry face. Yeah, that she does. You know, so yeah, I see Tiffany cashing in on Nia.
So I see Nia winning the match. So I agree with you there. I don't think we get a cash in yet. You may get an attempt to cash in. Kind of the way they've done the last couple of matches with her, where she goes to attempt to cash in or attempt to cost Nia and accidentally costs Bayley or distracts Bayley a little bit and lets Nia actually get the win. I like the dynamic they've got going right now. The kind of will she, won't she?
Oh yeah.
You know, will Nia Jax just turn around and beat the crap out of her at one point, which could happen at any point with Nia. Lady Alpha agrees with you, Sped, so she thinks Tiffany is going to cash in as well. But I think they let this go a little bit further down the road. Maybe they let her cash in at the Royal Rumble. You have to think, too, Damian Priest had the men's Money in the Bank all the way up until WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then we blew the men's Money in the Bank the same night. So this is the only briefcase. They love to have that briefcase out there, whether it's men's or women's. They love to have that out there dangling around. You know, she could actually interfere in the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan match. She could, you know, there's a lot of stuff that they could do with her. I think they let her hold on to that for now, just because they want Tiffany on TV, and that's the best way, other than putting a title on her, to get her on TV. But if you put the title on her, you only get her on SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
Doing it this way, you can get her on Raw and SmackDown, or even NXT. We talked about all those great NXT women. How funny would it be for her to show up down there at Halloween Havoc with a briefcase just to tease a cash in down there? So there's a lot of ways that they could do it. I don't think they let her cash in yet. So I think Nia Jax takes the win and leaves Bad Blood as the SmackDown or WWE Women's Champion. Next up, we've got Damian Priest and Finn Balor in just a good old-fashioned grudge match. I'll go first on this one, so you went first last time. I mentioned it earlier that I hope going out of this, I hope Finn Balor and the Judgment Day focus more on the tag titles. To me, I think Damian Priest has to win here. Again, there's a reason they haven't let them fight before now. It's always been kind of teases, maybe one hit or two. But they haven't let them get into a good fight until now. I think Damian Priest separates himself from the Judgment Day, gets the victory, moves on to something else. Like I said, hopefully Karrion Kross, hopefully maybe an IC title run. And then Finn Balor takes his loss, goes back to the tag division, and actually accentuate those tag team titles. What do you think, Sped? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I think this ends up with the Priest win, but disqualification by the Judgment Day. All right, it's just protecting Balor and the Judgment Day, basically. So I will say Priest with the DQ from the Judgment Day. But the thing is this: I see this going on a little bit further. I think they go into. I think they go a little bit further than. Maybe they go War Games or Crown Jewel. Really, I forgot about Crown Jewel's coming up before War Games.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about Crown Jewel myself.
Crown Jewel, it could go to Crown Jewel because that's not too far away, actually. So yeah, that could go to Crown Jewel, and you know those two finish it up there with Priest winning ultimately, and then they start focusing on the titles. But I don't know what they're gonna do honestly with this match. So Priest. I say Priest wins, but I think it is by DQ.
Okay, and Lady Alpha agrees. She thinks it's Damian Priest as well. So again, I guess technically you took Tiffany. So if Tiffany doesn't cash in, I'll still get that point.
Yeah.
But we've agreed on the actual matches so far. Next up, you've got Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley with your boy Dom in a shark cage. We found out this weekend he is claustrophobic. So what's going to happen to Dom in the shark cage? More importantly, who do we think is going to win the match? I'll let you go first since I had last. Who do you think will win?
I'm going Liv. I don't think they're going to let Liv lose this title right now. Her heel work is actually really good. It's been really good lately. Her matches have been real good too. So I think they're going to let her run it for a little bit. I think somebody like, what is it? Crud. I forget her name right now.
Raquel?
Raquel.
Raquel
Yes.
comes back?
Yes.
Okay.
When Raquel comes back, I think Raquel takes the title from Liv. So I go Liv. Liv wins, and then Raquel does take that title at some point or gets close to.
Okay. So again, I mean, this is 3 for 3. I'll agree with you. I think Liv takes it. I don't think they're going to let both members of the Judgment Day Wrestling lose.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to let both Terror Twins win. I think this is the best match that you could. This is the better feud to push down the road, just because it has more legs with Dominic, with everything else going on. You've got Jay. It's harder to get to a match that you want between Jay and Dom if Liv and Rhea aren't involved somehow, because then there's no reason for Jay to really go against Dom. This is a way you let Damian Priest go off on his own. Maybe, Rhea and Jay Uso kind of have their fling romance team, whatever you want to call it, and kind of let that be into where Dominic Mysterio goes for the IC title. So it's for that to happen. I think Liv has to win, and plus, I just want to see this feud more. So there are some people that are tired of it. I love this feud.
It's a great feud.
I hope after this that it becomes more about their wrestling.
Yes.
But even still, if it doesn't, if Dom and Jay are still involved, I'm all for that too, because both of them, I like seeing both of them go at each other. They're both very entertaining wrestlers. One's an ultra heel, one's an ultra babyface. So, I mean, that contrast fits perfectly. So, but I do think Liv wins. There's obviously going to be shenanigans. Dom's going to have some brass knuckles or something in his trunks or something in his pants or something that he pulls out, tries to drop to Liv, something like that. I don't know that Raquel comes back just yet. I think it would be cool, but I think they may save that for later on, maybe next Monday after the pay-per-view, because they always like to have some kind of surprise after the pay-per-view. I know she's close to coming back, but that may be down the road, maybe even Royal Rumble, they let her come back then.
Yeah.
But I definitely think Liv takes it, and then this feud continues on. Again, this is going to be a good ground jewel match. Both women have performed over in Saudi before, so it's not the fans will be against them. They love that kind of match. And even if it goes to Royal Rumble, let them go till then. And again, you could throw Tiffany in there for some more entertainment at any point, teasing a cash in, just a lot of different things you could do with it. Next up, we have what should be the main event, in my opinion, but from what I've heard reports of, it is not. It is Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Hell in a Cell, the culmination of the feud that really kicked off at the Royal Rumble last year, so almost a year long. Really hit the head at WrestleMania where, CM Punk cost Drew. We've all had the whole thing about that. We had the bracelet. Luckily, that's gone. And two guys that just talk about wanting to kill each other at this point, really. I don't know how CM Punk loses this match and continues forward. I think Drew can take the loss and continue the heel character he's got going on. Again, I wish they would have added a stipulation, which they have not, that loser leaves SmackDown or loser leaves Raw and has to go to SmackDown. I think that would have been a better ending, because at the beginning of the feud, they talked about, while I'm on this brand, you're never going to win a championship. While I breathe, you'll never win a championship. Both of them have said that in the past. So I would have liked for them to have separated them after this and sent whoever loses over to SmackDown. That would bolster that roster. You could always send somebody back over from SmackDown over to Raw, give them some better TV time. But I do think CM Punk wins, moves on. I actually think he is probably a future opponent for Gunther coming up either in Saudi or at the Royal Rumble. After the whole Seth Rollins thing, Seth Rollins obviously has, Reed coming up with the whole thing there. But do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think will happen?
I think so. You're going Punk, right?
Yeah, Punk wins. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer to say I think CM Punk wins. Okay,
so I'm going Drew on the opposite end of what you said, because I think this will make Drew's heat of being a heel grow. They're looking for a main eventer that can be that can run it. And I get it. Gunther is running it right now, but there's talks backstage potentially of him losing it to someone before after the Rumble, or even at Royal Rumble, not the Royal Rumble, at WrestleMania. So it's going to be a 6-month reign, which is shorter than what other people have done, But at the same time, we get Drew versus Gunther, or Drew versus anyone on that roster right now, and it's still going to be phenomenal. I think they want another heel behind Gunther that can take the reins if it needs to happen, and that heel is Drew McIntyre. It's not Dom. I'm sorry, he's not main event worthy yet.
So I actually think that they could very easily, and I know this is going to hurt because you talked about Dom wanting to go for it. They could easily take him with a loss right here, Drew McIntyre, and then have Jey Uso coming out celebrating after a victory, and Drew McIntyre just come out and beat the crap out of him.
That'd be funny.
You're out here celebrating. I just went through the worst match of my life. Had to lose to CM Punk and Hell in a Cell. You're out here yeeting, and I'm tired of it.
I get it. Yeah, no, that'd be funny. So, that would be awesome.
That'd be a great program to go into the end of the year with a feud between those two. So yeah, I mean, I really think, and again, I think this is the only one we've disagreed on so far. So that's at least good.
Besides
for viewers,
me saying Tiffany Stratton's going to cash in.
True. Yeah, but we both thought Nia would win. So
yeah,
that's kind of a disagreement, just disagreement with how it would happen.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it's one that could go either way. We talked about it earlier in the show, and I think I mentioned it before we went on air. This is probably one of the most unpredictable cards. There's not a match yet that if the other person that we picked had won, that we would complain about it.
Yeah.
If Bayley wins, it's still going to be great. Still going to be entertaining. If Finn Balor wins, I think a good story still comes out of that.
Yes.
If Liv or Rhea wins, I think the feud continues regardless of who wins that match. But I mean, we wouldn't be mad if Rhea won. I don't think anybody would. Lady Alpha definitely wouldn't. She picked Rhea Ripley in the match, which I didn't get a chance to do when we were talking about it. So she did pick Rhea Ripley. And I say that going into the last match, the Bloodline versus the Avengers, I guess would be the best way to call them. Rhodes and Roman. I think I went first on the last one, so I'll let you kind of give your opinion. What do you think will happen in this match?
Do you remember what happened at WrestleMania when Rock and Roman were in a tag team?
Wait, The Rock was at WrestleMania? Yes, I remember.
You remember Roman speared Rock, right?
Yep, I do.
Roman will accidentally, quote unquote, spear Cody Rhodes, and either Jacob Fatu or Solo Sikoa will get the pin on Cody Rhodes and set up Crown Jewel match between. I think it might be Jacob Fatu, but I've been hearing Solo and everything because he's a tribal chief, blah blah blah. But I think it should be Jacob Fatu, and I really do think that the Temu bloodline is going to win against these guys because Roman Reigns cost them the match, and that's what sets up Roman Cody 3 coming up at later on. They can start doing their
probably Royal Rumble.
Probably.
Yeah, because they're not going to do that at WrestleMania because The Rock's going to come back at that point and fight one of them. I do agree that the Bloodline wins. I don't think that Roman and Cody I don't think Roman costs him. There's obviously going to be a lot of run-in, a lot of shenanigans go on. You're going to get the Tongans. You're going to get Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. I honestly think this is where you see the debut of a new Bloodline member.
Oh, Jacob Fatu's brother.
You get, the Tongans come out, cause a distraction. Randy and KO come out, run them off, kind of like you've seen in the past. Kind of what you saw at WrestleMania. Since we're going to call back to WrestleMania, I'll call back tonight to a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, somebody with a hooded figure comes out. Samoan spike, Samoan drop, some kind of move, hits Roman Reigns, and Jacob Fatu gets the 1, 2, 3. I think it has to be Jacob, because I know we want to set up Jacob and Roman later on, because that's the real money match. As much as we love Solo, as much as he's the tribal chief, the money match is Roman and Jacob.
Yep.
So I think it comes in. I think it's probably going to be Zilla. Since I know Hikuleo has already been slated to go down to NXT, there is a way you can make it Hikuleo, and maybe the next Friday on SmackDown, Solo, because he lets Jacob get the pin, maybe.
Yeah.
Solo says, "You're going down to NXT, dude. You need some help. Yeah, we got the win, but it wasn't the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
This wasn't what the tribal chief wanted. I'm going to need you to go down to NXT. Show me you can run stuff down in NXT because he's already been slated. He's already on the NXT internal roster.
Yes.
Hikuleo is. So we got to find a way to get him to NXT. They could very easily do that. Let Jacob get the pin. Hikuleo goes to NXT. Maybe he's somebody that can go for the title that we talked about earlier. That would definitely give a shot in the arm to that men's division down there.
It would.
And it would also, again, give Jacob the pinfall over Roman. That's what we want to see. Lady Alpha, everybody knows I love KO. He's probably my favorite wrestler, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Definitely my favorite SmackDown wrestler, probably current wrestler going on. Always love to get him on the show. But you got to have Jacob pin Roman. I don't want to see a whole won't they with Roman and Cody. You can do that down the line. Nothing has to happen in this match that furthers their feud that you can't do 2 months from now.
That's why I said accidentally.
Once the bloodline stuff is over, Roman can focus on going back after his world title shot. You don't need that kind of stuff in this match to me. This is where you want to introduce some other bloodline stuff, introduce that other person. And this will also, and I know we're going over time, I'll be quick as possible. This will also give Solo a very big decision when it comes to War Games, because now that gives their team 5 people.
Yep.
Most of the WWE War Games have been 4 people.
Yep.
So who does Solo leave off of that team? Maybe he leaves Jacob Fatu off that team, and it causes some friction between him and Jacob Fatu. Or if he leaves one of the Tongans off, or if he leaves Hikuleo off, it can cause some friction in that bloodline after War Games that starts kind of fraying those lines and start to see the dissolution of this new bloodline.
Yeah,
so that's also a possible story that we could do coming out of this.
Oh yeah.
So, but you did pick the bloodline as well?
Yeah, so the only one that we have is Drew, and I said Tiffany Stratton. But
if Tiffany Stratton, it could all come down to whether Tiffany Stratton cashes in or not, which I feel pretty good about. So
I mean, if that happens and I get the Drew one, we tie.
So don't polish the crown up yet, King of WWE.
Oh no,
I'm coming for you.
You are coming. I get it. I get it.
All right. Any other thing about Bad Blood? Anything else you think may happen? Did we get any debuts? Did we get any shock returns? Anything?
Honestly, only thing I can think of is Dom doing something crazy off out of the shark cage. He's probably gonna, like you said, drop a brass knucks out there.
Yeah, I said brass knucks. Any kind of weapon, really.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I'm just thinking. I don't know what he's gonna do, but yeah, something like that's gonna happen. I can see it, but I'm ready to see what my hometown, the crowd, how electrifying that place is about to be at State Farm Arena.
You're a home crowd. I'm surprised you weren't in the vignette with Roman and Cody. What have you done for the city, Sped?
I was in the Army for 6 years, so
well, there you go. Welcome. That wins. Congratulations. Sped wins the match. You can have Cody. You can have Roman. We've got a veteran coming from Atlanta. He wins automatically. And I guess we will move on to the next thing since I can't beat that. But definitely we're excited for Bad Blood. It's going to be a great show. Again, one of the most unpredictable cards that they've had especially for a B pay-per-view coming up. We look forward to watching that on Saturday. So you sent to me a couple of days ago, we've started having a Twitter submission segment where we find a post on Twitter that we want to accentuate on the show. This week, I don't know if you can read it because it's a little stretched out. It is actually at 90s WWE is the Twitter handle. Go follow them. They've got some really good content. I looked at some of their other posts. They've got a lot of other opinionated posts and things like that. Definitely, Lady Alpha, I don't want to speed past that comment. Thank you for your service, Bed. We all appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lady Alpha, for recognizing that as well. But again, go follow 90s WWE. He's got a lot of different, poll
really
questions, not necessarily Twitter polls, but just opinionated questions where you can give your opinion on different wrestling things. This one is, if the WWE ever inducts actual matches into the Hall of Fame like the UFC does, what match do you think should go in? Sped, I'll let you go first.
All right. So Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar when Eddie Guerrero won the WWE Undisputed Championship. Top to bottom, beautiful match, beautiful promo, beautiful story. but that crowd going nuts for a man who was fighting his demons all of his life, to win the biggest prize in wrestling. It was great. That match should definitely be in. I agree with 90s saying that Mick
Hell
Foley
in a
versus
Cell.
that Hell in a Cell match was phenomenal. We also should put the very first Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker in there, because that was phenomenal too. Kane coming out, ripping the door off the hinges and walking right in. That was awesome. But when we talk matches and stuff, it took me a while to think about it. I thought about Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. I thought about Owen Hart versus Stone Cold. I thought about Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Those matches. I thought about a lot of matches. Even the triple threat Shield match. Dean Ambrose, now known as John Moxley, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns at Battleground 2015, I want to say, where Ambrose, and a lot of people forget, was put over as the best member of the Shield to keep that dang title on his waist. So I still say Eddie Guerrero versus Brock, because Goldberg coming out screwing Brock, that was awesome. Eddie hitting the frog splash, and hitting the when Brock went for the F5 and Eddie hit the DDT on the championship, and you get the greatest commentary line. Eddie cheated by Taz as he's hitting the frog splash, and then 1, 2, 3, and I was like, that definitely should, if they did do that, that should be one of the first few matches that gets in right away.
So yeah, definitely a lot of good submissions there. Mine was actually one of the ones you mentioned, and I know it's probably one that most people talk about, and it's the Stone Cold Bret Hart match, the double turn. One of the best matches in the history of WWE.
Yes.
I couldn't go without putting a Kurt Angle match.
Yes.
The match with him and Shane McMahon, where he puts Shane McMahon through the glass. It's an iconic moment. It was a great match up to then. If you haven't watched that whole match, I know everybody only talks about the glass spot, but that was a great match altogether, especially from Shane McMahon.
Yes.
You think about Hogan and Rock at WrestleMania. You think about Rock and Cena 1, not necessarily 2. You think about Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Triple H, Chris Jericho for the undisputed title.
There's a lot that you could, but to me, the one that you put in that changed the landscape of wrestling is Stone Cold and Bret Hart.
Oh yeah,
because that really put Stone Cold over the top and made him into the big fan favorite that he became.
Oh yeah.
So just for the fact that it changed, I mean, you can also put the original TLC.
Oh my goodness. Hardys,
the Hardys, the Dudleys, and
Dudleys.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way you could leave that off. That's definitely in there. Look at how many TLC matches that they've come out.
Yeah, but that match got a standing ovation. I haven't seen a standing ovation for a TLC match in years. I mean, they put their body, mind, and soul on the line in that match. And I mean, I went back and watched the documentary about that. And I know we're getting off this topic, but that whole Christian saying, "I can't stand, the table's broken" type of deal. Come on, that was amazing. And yes, Kane is amazing, and I find it funny that he's a mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee.
So yeah, definitely a lot of matches. Again, go follow 90s at 90s WWE. Leave a comment on this post. Tell him what matches you think should be in there. Leave a comment in the comment section here. Whether we're on air or not. Tell us what matches you think you could see. And of course, always follow us on Twitter. _ Big Mike 27 for me, at SP3DROCK4 on X for Sped there. And we will start trying to put these on our Twitter pages before the show. That way you guys kind of know they're coming. You can think about it, give your opinions on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Leave the comments on X, and we'll try to share some of your comments on the show as well. And we'll probably have some stuff where we can highlight some of you guys as well, because obviously we can't do the show without you guys. So before we get into our last topic, I do want to stop and say thank you for all the viewers that have come in. Jay, Lady Alpha, Herb, Raj, everybody else that's commented, everybody on Sped's Twitch. We will get it set up to hopefully where when you guys start seeing commenting on Sped's Twitch, we'll be able to get it and put it up like you've seen the other comments. We are still working on that, working through some of the kinks on the show. So hopefully we'll be able to recognize you guys as well. That way, the guy that hates Dominic Mysterio can get his words shown on screen and have all the pub that he deserves as a contrasting opponent.
All my friends hate Dom.
fed.
All my friends hate Dom. I love it.
But we can't go without doing our Matchmaker series. It's been one of the more popular segments of the show. And this was going to be one of my favorites at heart because everybody that knows me likes to know I like to laugh. I like to have some fun. So it's going to be kind of a comedy series for the funniest guys, for the most funny acts in WWE. You've got Santino Marella, The Miz, R-Truth, and I'm afraid to say his name because I don't want him to show up at Herb's house, Joe Hendry. I'll let you go first. Who do you have and why?
Okay. I like Truth. I do. This one is taking me a while. Like I see The Miz winning because out of all of them, The Miz is the most sneakiest out of all of them. I can see him being an ultimate opportunist like he usually is, and sneaking in and stealing the pin from Joe Hendry. Honestly, and I see it on Santino. Santino doing some weird little flop with the like he hits himself with the Cobra. He's like, argh! And then Joe Hendry hits him with his finishing maneuver, makes it funny. But I see The Miz taking this one. But out of all of these guys, hands down, Truth is the funniest. He's probably the best one out of all of them. He's been doing it for over a decade now, and I wish he would have got a more serious role like he did in TNA when he won the NWA championship. But I mean, we never got it, and it's kind of sad, but it's all good. He says R-Truth.
Herb says R-Truth. Look, that's not a bad shot. I mean, I would say probably he's definitely the most experienced wrestler out of all of them because he's been wrestling forever. The man still looks like he's in his 20s, and I think he's in his 50s now.
Yeah.
So definitely. But look, you've got Joe Hendry, one of the most popular guys in wrestling right now. You've got R-Truth, the funniest guy that's ever been in wrestling to me.
Yes.
I think those two guys end up canceling each other out. The Miz, future Hall of Famer, two-time Grand Slam champion. But you know what none of those people have?
The Cobra.
None of those people have the most devastating finishing maneuver in the history of wrestling. We call Randy Orton the Viper because he's so dangerous. Well, you know what a Cobra is? A Cobra is a Viper. This was the Viper before Randy Orton was the Viper.
Yeah.
There's no way you beat the Cobra. And the Cobra strikes in an instant.
All
three of these other men.
All
three of these men. And maybe that's how he finishes. He hits everybody with the Cobra, and he celebrates so much, hits himself with the Cobra, falls on R-Truth, unconscious, and gets the win. Santino Marella wins this match hand down with the most devastating finishing move in all of professional wrestling. If you don't believe me, go back and look at it. Also, one of the best debuts in wrestling history, which I've talked about on previous videos on the Run-In podcast.
Yes.
But Santino Marella takes it. Comedy match over. He's the man.
He is the man. Go with him. Yeah, he's doing great in TNA right now.
Oh, yeah. And he's got his daughter with him now.
So. Oh, yeah, he does. It's a great moment. That was a great moment right there.
But again, that is our show tonight. Again, thank you for everybody in the comments. We really appreciate it. Hopefully, I will be back in my setup. Thank you again to Herb, who did have our last comment there, for allowing me to come to his house, use his Wi-Fi, and allow the show to keep on going without a hitch. We wouldn't be here with any of you guys. Again, as Lady Alpha said, since you brought it up, I know we're not going to do it every week, but thank you for your service, Ben. We really appreciate you. Love you being on the show. And yeah, this is us. It's going to be the two of us. We are going to miss EC and Mr. U. We are going to kind of go through with just the two of us here going forward. We will have some special guests every now and then, but get used to seeing these two faces. And I will even remove that so you can see us a little bit better. Hopefully you won't see this whole face, but that's a whole nother thing. Thank you for everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please go tell friends, tell your friends, tell everybody. Shout us out on Twitter if you ever see us. And we'd love to have more of you here. But first bed, have a good night. Hope everybody enjoys some wrestling. Let's get ready for Bad Blood. Peace, everybody.